Hello, and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The standard disclaimer applies. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, send questions and comments to our Twitter page at Mason Roundtable or on our Facebook event page for episode 138, The Cyber Lodge, Part 2. My name is John Ruark. I'm one of your hosts, and I am a past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957, in Fairfax, Virginia. And Robert, with your wheels of steel, introduce yourself, please.
Hey guys, Robert Johnson here, past master, Waukegan Lodge number 78 in Waukegan, Illinois, and host of the Masonic podcast, Whence Came You? Back to you, John.
Okay, then. Thank you, Robert. Juan Sepulveda, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. Juan Sepulveda of Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in Kissimmee, Florida, and the host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast.
Thank you, Juan. Who's this guy? Jason Richards.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Jason Richards here, Senior Warden of Acacia Lodge number 16 in good old Clifton, Virginia.
All right. Thank you, Jason. And in case you've been following us recently, you know that recent episodes, including this one of the Masonic Roundtable, are brought to you by Masonic Revival. And that is a Masonic supply shop run by Edgar Alejandro. And he has a brand new announcement just for listeners of TMR. This is a first time ever product launch just for you. He's got a deal for you tonight. And going to see if the screen share will work. And his first rollout of watches. The Regal has now been launched by Masonic Revival, where if you would need a Masonic accessory for your wrist, you can go check out the Regal, which is a very nice classic timepiece. And again, just launched right now, so the live listeners get the benefit of hearing it first. And as an additional promo, what he's doing is giving a discount to TMR listeners. And if you want to act on that...
For two.
Two.
Only for two, because the product launch is actually next week. But he's got two that he's launching early at a discounted rate for TMR listeners. So for the first two of you who go to his website and use the promo codes...
Regal 98, as you can see, the name of the watch is the Regal, REGAL 98, will get that watch at $98.
And if you put in the promo code TMR in addition, because you can't stack them, he'll wipe away your shipping costs.
Free shipping and a discount of a brand new item. Can't get that anywhere else. That's good stuff, actually. So go. I'm sure we have enough listeners that are ready to jump on this deal. It's really good. So thank you, Edgar Alejandro, for all that you do. And isn't it about time for a Masonic Revival? I say yes.
Yes, it is, John.
Good stuff. Now let's get into some Masonic news. We have quite a bit of lots of neat little tchotchke kind of things this week, starting off with a Freedom of Information Act. That's right. For those who are familiar, there's this thing called a Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. And what that is where you can request information from the government. Well, this popped up on Reddit this week where a gentleman reached out to the National Security Agency, NSA, here in the United States, and did a FOIA request for Intellipedia entries that use the word Freemason and or Freemasonry and or Mason and or Masons and or Shriners and or Shriner. So what is Intellipedia? A quick Google search shows that it is Wikipedia for spies. That it's Wikipedia like in the classified networks. And so someone wanted to say, what does the NSA know about the Freemasons? To which the response from the government provided a printout, basically, of their Wikipedia page on Freemasonry. So this is kind of interesting. The first pass of it looks to be very much like pretty much a cut and paste of an old Wikipedia article. So it doesn't seem to be anything new or anything about, new information the government has about the Freemasons. It's pretty vanilla. What else have you guys seen about this? I know Jason.
Well, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, I read it. I think it's causing a lot of buzz though on the internet, going, "Hey, the NSA is spying on Freemasons," and I just, with something like this, like it's so vanilla, and like you said, it almost seems like a cut and paste of an old like Wikipedia article that I can't see too much nefarious content in here, like about which we should actually be worried as an organization. So I don't necessarily ascribe to the conspiratorial viewpoint that the government is hunting down Freemasons and trying to learn more about our organization.
That's what they want you to think.
Dude, I'm just a sheep.
That's right. Where's Sheeple when we need him? Next on the docket is from our trusty friend and brother, Worshipful Chris Hodap's blog on the Grand Lodge of Kentucky has approved joint visitation with Prince Hall lodges. Yay! For those keeping track over the course of at least the 2 years we've had the show, slowly more and more Grand Lodges are becoming at amity with their corresponding Grand Lodges. The most recent one being here, Kentucky, that did approve recognition of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Kentucky in October of 2011, but you weren't allowed to visit. So fast forward 5 years later, and now the visitation rights are fully allowed, so you can visit each other's lodge. Sometimes, and depending on the jurisdiction, that comes with strings, but usually it does not. So that, as Chris Hodap notes, it still leaves Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia as the last 9 remaining mainstream Grand Lodges that do not recognize their Prince Hall counterparts.
If you are listed on this page, shame on you.
Shame on
with the program.
Not shame on you, shame on your Grand Line.
Ooh, shame on both. Come on.
Because you should be fighting hard.
This. Prince Hall was born out of racism. Let's try to make that right.
Now, quick question, like timeline. When do you think all 50 states, if it ever happens, when will all share, at the very least, recognition with visitation? Not necessarily plural membership or anything like that.
So being a data guy and seeing that we have, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 9 or so of the states remaining. And we've just in the 2 years we've done the show, there's been only about 2. I think Texas last year and Kentucky this year. Let's just say maybe 1 every other year or so. I don't know. That would take us into next 2020 and beyond. Yeah.
I think you'll see the Grand Lodge system in the United States start to falter a little bit under the weight of some of the Grand Lodges that are having some issues, to the point where I wouldn't expect that we'd have blanket Prince Hall recognition until we get a national Grand Lodge. Because I don't think it can happen at the state level.
For all 50 to do it ever? I mean, I think it's a matter of time, don't you think?
Perhaps. It depends. Over the past year and a half, we've seen Grand Lodges digging their heels and say, nope, I am sovereign, so I'm not going to do it. Anything we say here at this point is pure conjecture, right? Because past trends are not an indicator of future performance, John.
Yeah.
So I know you love your data, but it only tells us so much.
2 data points does not a trend make.
Correct.
Moving into our next topic, we have some great artwork. We talked about good watches. Now we have great artwork from Travis Simpkins, a Masonic artist, a newly raised Master Mason this year. And I'm sure if you've followed any Masonic groups on Facebook, you've seen a couple other Masonic authors and so forth have their portraits done in a chalk and charcoal on a
clay colored
background. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. As you can see, he's done some fantastic work. He just launched this today, and we have very, very cute portraits of all 5 of us.
Oh, wow. Look at that one.
And that handsome Juan Sepulveda.
So I go back to to the mid to late 90s when Nirvana was covered by Weird Al Yankovic and parodied by Weird Al Yankovic, and Kurt Cobain and Dave Grohl said, "Look, the way we know we made it was when Weird Al asked us to parody ourselves." Or asked us if he could parody us. And I think it's the same thing today. It's like the way we know we've made it in Masonry is that that brother Travis Simpkins has sketched us. That's kind of awesome.
You got Simpkins.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But we can't thank Travis enough for the work that he's done. It's very humbling to have that show up in our email inboxes this morning. So thank you, brother. We can't thank you enough. Keep sharing that talent because you do some amazing things. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And you know I love art, and I know good art when I see it, and that's really, really good work. The likeness are just uncanny on all of them.
Right.
My mother certainly wants a copy.
Yeah.
Everyone chip in for a GoFundMe for Jason's mom to buy him a portrait. Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Let's see. In other news, just launched today is trailer 2. We talked about the Assassin's Creed movie coming out this December. If for any of you who have played the video games, you'll understand, spoiler alert, that the bad guys are the Templars, which may or may not have a relationship to Freemasonry. So go grab a mate and hang out December 21st to go see the new Assassin's Creed movie. The cool part about this trailer is they have a great quote in it, which says that we work in the dark to serve the light. Masonic? Maybe. You have to pay your movie ticket to find out.
But the Masons are the bad guys. They're the Templars.
Some great plot twists in some of the games. Anyway, let's go to a find that you found, Jason, where the secret Freemason sign language was exposed. I didn't know that we had a secret sign language. Have you seen this thing?
So,
what are you doing there? What is that?
So there's a brother who back earlier this week, he's like, "Hey, I just wanted you to know that somebody's using TMR content in conspiracy videos." So it's naturally like, "Oh, tell me more."
We made it.
And so what we found was there's this young videographer who has, using TMR content, pieced together the secret sign language of the Freemasons. And so his video goes through President Obama rubbing his eyes, and then it switches to clips of various TMR hosts rubbing their eyes. I think Juan pushes up his glasses in one instance. And all the while, this videographer is talking about the secret Illuminati sign language that has been exposed, and how we're secretly communicating to Masons across the world, by picking our noses on live TV. So yes, congratulations, you figured it out. And I am instituting, as the king of the Illuminati, you thought it was Donald Trump. It's actually me. I am instituting a ban on all Freemasons on touching their faces.
Ever.
If they're on, ever. Especially if they're on a live podcast.
Oh no, that's all I want to do is scratch my nose right now.
Oh no, I broke my own ban. I guess.
You know,
So there are some inventive people.
the joke's on you guys though, because I wasn't in it.
Yes, that's true. Robert had conveniently missed that episode, probably
Yeah,
doing
He was
Yeah.
the
Grand
inventor.
Lodge stuff.
I found another video where he claims that I am the invisible part of the invisible college. So yeah,
I can neither confirm nor deny. So
sorry.
Oh, good stuff.
Just wait until we FOIA the Intellipedia article on Juan Sepulveda.
That's hilarious.
be spicy.
Mm.
I want that as my ringtone. Can you just do that for me so that every time my phone rings, it says spicy, like you just said it?
It's gonna be spicy.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You've got the audio now. All right.
Yeah, you got it.
So Robert, you need to make that an extra special clip for our listeners.
Oh yeah, it's happening. Trust me.
Extra download. Jason, would you bring us home with the last item for this week?
Yeah, just wanted to mention to everybody that I'd like to invite all of our listeners, either in person or virtually, to come to Acacia Lodge's installation of officers. If everything goes according to plan, and we know it never does, I will presumptively be elected to be Worshipful Master of Acacia. And so the installation is happening Saturday, December 3rd at 10 o'clock in the morning in Clifton, Virginia. And the great thing about it is, us being the Masonic Roundtable, we are streaming it live. It is an open ceremony, and it's a really cool way to get a little bit of Masonic education and a little bit of culture. Because even if you, especially if you live in a jurisdiction outside of Virginia, you're going to get to see a lot of Virginia ritual that's open to the public. And you'd be surprised at how much there is in it, and how pithy the installation ritual is. So I really wanted to share that with everybody and give everybody the opportunity to experience that if they want to. So go to the TMR Facebook for our events. You'll find the 2017 installation of officers for Acacia Lodge. Go and check that out. I've got the live stream set up. So John will be running that for me. And we'll probably do that even if I'm not elected master, just because it's a cool thing to do. So I will keep you posted, and I hope to see you at least virtually on December 3rd.
Great. Congrats in advance. So yes, that'd be great to see what kind of.
If I don't get elected, like, I'm gonna have to return the hat and the pins, and
your wife will be happier.
my wife will dance.
Your currently pregnant wife, yes.
Yes.
Okay, we've talked long enough about Masonic news. Thanks for sticking with us. There's just so many fascinating things this week to talk about. Nick is not only absent, but only had one response, maybe two responses to last week's Masonic Monday question.
One on Tuesday. One correct response.
So he's giving you guys
several responses.
And if you want to hear the question, go back to last week's episode. Moving into this week's topic, we are honored to have a host that I forgot to introduce, which would be Worshipful Brother Nicholas Laine, who is the Worshipful Master of Burlington Lodge number 165 in Burlington, Ontario, as well as current sitting Worshipful Master of the Castle Island Virtual Lodge number 190 under the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. So welcome, Nicholas.
Thanks, John.
So for those of you keeping track, or if Castle Island Virtual Lodge sounds familiar, that's right. We covered Castle Island Virtual Lodge all the way back on episode 26. That's August 2nd, 2014. It's been over 2 years. And, you know, Georgia's still been on my mind because this lodge was a life-changing experience. So Nicholas wanted to get back on the show, talk about what's been going on over the past 2 years. I know most of the hosts have attended virtually in this lodge. And for those who haven't listened to episode 26, Nicholas, what is your sales pitch or your elevator pitch of what Castle Island Virtual Lodge is and how it operates?
Thanks, John. So my elevator pitch for all of you, either new to Castle Island Virtual Lodge or people who thought about attending, is we're a virtual education lodge out of the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. We've been around since 2012. We were started as a lodge that gave the ability for our brethren from around the world, as long as you can give us a constant dues card, to have the ability to meet. We meet 5 times a year, and our whole idea is education. Our meetings are twofold, and we can talk about that more later. So that's my elevator pitch. It allows for brethren around the world who can't normally get to lodge, have the ability to come out and join in our education.
Yes. And what is your dog's name?
My dog's name is Lila.
Hi, Lila.
You can see her at the back, can you? Yeah.
Jason has his random cat, so it's
Yeah.
Lila too. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that this is a virtual lodge in the sense of where brethren, wheresoever dispersed, can connect via something like this show that we have here. How does that work?
Yeah, so what we're doing is generally we go through the process. Any master mason, or in fact even an apprentice who has a current dues card, who contacts either myself or the secretary of our lodge, we go through the process of vetting your current membership within a lodge. From there, we then get the big yellow book out that says, are you a constituted lodge with the Grand Lodge of Manitoba, like John has? So he's looking in the list of lodges shown on screen. Once we've determined, yes, you're not a lodge that we can't talk to, like we have some brethren actually in Mexico that really like to talk to us, but because they're a clandestine lodge, we are unable to accept their request for visitation. So it's a pretty simple process. Once you've done that and you've sent us your email with a copy or a picture of your dues cards, which is kind of cool, because as over the past 2 years, gentlemen, I've probably got about 76 different pictures of dues cards. So one of these days, I'm actually going to put together a collection of the most unique dues cards that I've seen, and then go from there. And then last but not least, as many of us travel through work or whatever, I generally say to people as I sit there, now that I've sat with lodge with you, I can actually give you an invite. And we use the same process. If you can be vouched for someone else who sat in lodge, and John, I've sat with you, so you've then given an invite, therefore you don't have to go through the process, or your friend has to go through the process. I know that we've had that as well.
Yeah, so all the regular Masonic rules of protocol apply then, which is really fascinating. So that's really funny you mentioned that. And that's why I had the list of lodges, Masonic, which is our big yellow book, and lists all lodges from all jurisdictions that, in our case, the state of Virginia recognizes. And it even talks about, like we talked about Kentucky, whether or not it's recognized but allows visitation or not. And so when 2 years ago, when we had the opportunity to sit in virtual lodge with Nicholas, I immediately went to our page on Manitoba, and I said, I have to check to see if this thing is real, if this is an actual lodge, because it just sounds so far-fetched according to what anyone under the Grand Lodge of Virginia would even consider. And sure enough, right there, we have the online Castle Island Virtual Lodge 190, the very last item on the page. So it's legit and regular and recognized by at least Virginia. And so I feel better sleeping at night that I sat in a virtual lodge that was recognized by the state of Virginia.
So John, that brings up an interesting point. It's as we've started most of our campaigning from how do we get people to know who we are. We did a great job going through a process called the embassy notes, depending on your jurisdiction and who you are. If you're probably a right worshipful or past Grand Master, you have this great process which you can communicate through all of the Grand Lodges of North America. So I went through our database recently. Out of about 150 people who have attended, the majority of them, because I'm a numbers guy too, just like you, John, I went through, and about 85% of all of the visitors to Castle Island are right worshipful or most worshipful brethren. Interesting number.
That's amazing.
So we're
That's
seeing,
incredible.
yeah, isn't it? So when I'm doing a paper,
great news.
yeah. It is great news, and it's also somewhat humbling because you're in my lodge itself. As I sit as the worship master, I have 5 past grandmasters. I'll do that too. That sit in my lodge. So it's always interesting when you say, "What should we do education on?" when you're sitting with 5 of those guys. Another kind of a tidbit of information today in our lodge. We actually have within our lodge. I sit here in Burlington, Ontario. The lodge, most of the participants come out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. And then we have our Tyler who sits in Rome, Italy. So his name
Wait,
is
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Camillo. Our Tyler is from Rome.
How can that be?
So he goes to lodge at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Correct. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, Brother Camillo wakes up. He usually wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he sits and comes to our lodge. Then, as you guys have all noticed, there's this other wacky Australian guy, and I mean this in the most lovable sense. Worshipful Brother Blake.
No.
Yes.
No.
The Blake Miles Leach.
So the Blake Miles Leach. For all of you listening who wonder why does that guy always get all the questions right on Masonic Monday on Tuesday, he also attends, and our last presentation actually done at Lodge was Blake giving a presentation on the Grand Lodge of New South Wales. So we try to change it up a little bit, both being research papers as well as other papers coming from the brethren. And then most recently, we've been talking, the theme the last 6 months is Masonry around the world. And we had a presentation with one of the brethren out of Italy as well.
So can you elaborate a bit on some of the types of meetings that you were going to talk about?
So what we have is we have our traditional research meetings, which we will open. So the first thing to note is that we open using the ritual of the Grand Lodge of Manitoba, which was one of the first hurdles we had. So one of the things that I have to remember is, as you noted earlier, John, is I sit as a worship master in 2 lodges. So as one of my brethren would say, I always have to remember if I'm in Manitoba or on Ontario. So that's the first question. The second one is, within the work, you have to think about how the lodge opens and how you display, say, the square and compasses on the volume of the Sacred Law. How do you use the gavel and tell people to stand up and sit down if you're sitting in front of a computer? So there's a lot of we're trying to change, both in the way the ritual is working and how we need to work through that as well. So that's that lodge. So we open, go through business just like you would have through any of your general purpose meetings, go through that part, and then we'll go into education. And then last but not least, we have another meeting type, which is called On the Level. So if any of the brethren wanted to understand what they needed to do from just have an open topic so we don't have to open or close, we then use WebEx as a medium, and then we can go from there. Our other thing that we're looking at too is traditionally today we have an interesting time how to track people. So we're looking at new technology to use things like Eventbrite or other processes, because how it works right now is you'll send me a request, I put you in a large list, I then tabulate you into Excel, I go into or myself or the senior warden go in, and then we then fill in how do we contact you, which works good if I remember who you are and if I like you. If I've forgotten you, then maybe you won't get the invite. So that we're trying to mechanize that next stream. And then last but not least, one of the things we want to do is open it up to some of our brethren in the military, with the idea that if our brethren are serving overseas, but they still want to have a Masonic meeting and they want to go to that, we're still working through that. So I'm working with some contacts within the Canadian military today to work through that as well. So those are kind of the things that we're trying to do right now. Hopefully I answered all your questions, John.
What would you say you found in this very unique format that is better or is advantageous in contrast with a traditional meeting? Is there a benefit that really sticks out of having a virtual meeting? compared to a regular lodge?
So Juan, that's a good question. I think the big one that I find is just the cross section of brethren you're going to get from across the world. At any meeting, we have probably 20 to 25 brethren. We have a small membership in our lodge itself of 14 paying members. So I'm trying to work with the Grand Master, the Grand Lodge of Manitoba, to try to move that forward, number one. But your question about what is the difference? It's the ability to talk to brethren from across the world and not having to leave your house. If you have to tile it is difficult. All you got to do is get rid of the dog, send your wife away, and close the door, which is sometimes interesting. And then from there, it's really just the topics and the ability to share and have more of the fraternity when you talk about topics and you say, you know, what do you think of this? Because you're not getting the cross section of the demographics of your own hometown, your own city, your own state. If you're talking to a guy from, well, you know, so one of our regular attendees is Brother Jeff Beaupre. He lives in Colorado. Another gentleman is in Arizona. We are in the upper Canadian states, provinces. Then you have down into the United States as well. So, and then from there you go into, you know, like I said, we've had brethren from Germany, we've had brethren from the Netherlands, we've had Italy, Australia, England, Ireland, Scotland. So when you bring that all together and you have a topic and you say, okay, what does Masonry mean to you, or what do you think about the Catechism? What my version is and what your version is completely different. And that just makes it become even more surreal for you. And for myself as a master, as I kind of do both jobs, both in a bricks and mortar lodge, where you're really working about, you know, talking about the men and how it works and how you put on the ritual and how you're trying to promote both inner lodge working and what you're doing within your district and all the normal things we talk about. Within Castle Island, all you're talking about is history and the whole idea of research and moving those kind of thoughts and processes forward. So it lets you become very focused on what you're doing versus looking at the Masonic process as a whole.
So as a tech guy, I always want to know about like the platform too. How has WebEx been? Because it was WebEx 2 years ago when we did it. And has there been upgrades to the software? Anything new you've been trying or experimenting with?
So what we've tried to experiment, John, is predominantly with WebEx. It's actually just getting everybody easier to use it as a platform. Predominantly, you're a Windows guy or a Mac guy. Some of the older gentlemen have found it easier to use, you know, either an iPod or an iPad, or you know, even those terrible things called Android devices.
We're having some connection issues. I think
Yeah,
we're sorry.
Yeah. But you know, all kidding aside, it's really somewhat platform agnostic. Over the first couple of years, we had a lot of teething pains trying to get people on. Even tonight, I know you and I were having that game. Is your microphone on? I think I have paper where I've actually used. I don't think it's still here. You reach up and you take a piece of paper and you say to the brother, "Your mic's not on," and you just use the old pen and paper methodology. You'll have one guy that's
Lodge.
Yeah, it's kind of like in lodge when you have the prompter, but the guy can't hear you, and you're still yelling at him, but everybody else in the lodge can hear you. So, so those are those things, and then the other one is really bandwidth. It's try to teach the brethren where you are, and it's always been kind of funny when I have 3 grown children in my house, and they consume bandwidth. So I say, "Hey, Dad's using the bandwidth. It's my turn tonight." So there's a little bit of learning on that going on as well. But
you have a no Netflix rule for the hosts of TMR.
No
Yeah.
Hulu Plus. Yes.
yeah, exactly. So from a platform, I think it's stabilized. It's we've got it working. We've tried a couple other processes. The screen sharing and PowerPoint presentation works. We've used Google Docs to share information and bring it through, no different than what you do here today. And then the whole idea of getting ready before you get going and getting the membership to be practiced, so when we get there, we can do that. We had our first Grand Master visit at the Grand Lodge of Manitoba come to one of our virtual lodges. It was interesting. I was at our Grand Communication session in Toronto, Ontario, and I met the Grand Master of Manitoba in Ontario and said, "Hey, it would sure be nice if you came to one of our meetings," and it was good and well received. Did I answer all your questions, John, about platform?
Well, here's a question, Brother Nicholas. So, are there any kind of inherent limitations to how large your virtual lodge meetings can get?
Yes.
Like, can you have 100 brothers, or do you have to confine it?
So right now we're confined. It's a great question, Brother Richard. Richards, it comes down to 25 is the number we can have to today. We can burst up. So one of our meetings, one of our brethren said, "Oh yeah, we're going to get 7 new members, and they're going to come and want to visit." So we bursted it up and paid a $42 charge, and the regular 22 people came, and I went, "Oh well." Guess we blew that $42 out the.
So it's like regular lodge.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kinda
Only
like-
about 20 people show up.
Yeah,
You bought too much food.
Yeah. exactly.
If there's no leftovers, right? You don't get to carry that over for the
Right.
next few months.
Yeah, that doesn't way it works. So we pay an annual fee from our dues. I think the WebEx fee for this year just came at $637 Canadian for the year for us to use. So it's not an expensive process. And as I said to you earlier, what we've been trying to present it to other people is if you're in a grand jurisdiction and you'd like to use our WebEx, just give us a call and we'd be more than happy to share our costs, because we only use it once a month at most. And sometimes some months it doesn't even get used. So brethren, if you'd like to continue to use that, just give myself or my senior warden a call, and we can help set up a platform for you.
What's fantastic about the whole idea is the fact that you're talking about something that costs $600 a month, or I'm sorry, $600 a year. And most lodges have an operating cost of around $20,000 a year. I mean, that's pretty nice, right?
Yeah, that brought up a good question about dues and due structure. So last year we decided that as our bank was continuing to grow, we decided that we did not need an affiliation fee. So for all of you that I've sent notes to, and I won't tell you who they are, but there's some people on this board here that I've asked. So we just asked for your Canadian due structure, and that just pays for our per capita, which let's not get into. That gets some of our past masters grumpy and why we're paying per capita to a lodge that anyway, don't want to go there. We'll move on. And then really WebEx. So our costs, as you said, are pretty limited. All of our communication is electronic. We have no paper components to our lodge, and we go from there. Things we've learned: teaching people how to use WebEx. That's the biggest challenge. And we put together a manual on how people can use it, but it still doesn't matter. We still get one guy in Mexico or 3 guys, depending from different parts of the world, and they'd be like, "I don't understand how this works. I can get it to work, but I can't." And then you have 3 versions of the people coming in, and yeah, it's interesting.
Also like lodge, where people don't, coming from foreign jurisdictions, don't know what's going on, don't recognize the words.
Yeah,
But at least they can get into the lodge room.
correct. And then we've had how to teach people how to do backgrounds and lighting. So if you turn the light off, you can't see me very well.
All little things. It's funny you say that, because we have a document for guests of TMR that we've already written up exactly what you've done. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to have headphones, you want to have some
Yeah.
lighting.
Check your bandwidth, make sure the dog's quiet behind you, send the kids away. We've had it where a couple brethren
Get
have
the
been at
wife off
McDonald's.
Netflix.
Yeah, get the wife off Netflix. Yeah, I especially liked it when one of our brethren was sitting at the bottom of McDonald's, and you could see the golden arches above him as he was coming online. You're like, Rico, we're recording this. Can you move over a little bit so we can't quite see the arches as you're taking their Wi-Fi?
It's M for Masonic.
That's what I call a tiled communication, baby.
So that was a good point, because what you're talking about is actually having a tiled communication, right? So you can talk secrets up to the Master Mason degree. Is that correct?
Yes, we can. Generally, we put everything on the editor apprentice.
Okay.
And the idea is that everything is tiled within
Within your own particular domicile, right? So
Yeah.
of course,
Yes,
TMR
but if you're Skyping into WebEx from McDonald's, that is not a tiled domicile.
Well, it's
Correct.
got tile in the bathroom. You could,
But that brings up for me an interesting question. Since you're on WebEx,
Yes.
you're typically sitting around in a room where there's not a lot going on. I don't imagine you guys having like tracing boards up or whatever in the background. I know you guys might be sharing some really cool stuff on screen, but if somebody's mobile platform, it's very unlikely somebody's going to see it. And if they got headphones on, they can't hear it either. So it's almost already tiled. I mean, maybe is that a decent?
Yeah, and what we try to say to all the brethren, it's your responsibility to tile the lodge accordingly. So if you're going to be in your own domicile, yeah, make sure that your family, wife, children are behind open doors, and really it's only for so you don't drive them completely crazy, I think is the other answer. Just like as you are here, because they're like, so you've been talking on on a Skype for an hour and a half. When will you stop? That's usually my wife's discussion point.
also what my wife says every week.
But from a technology perspective, we had that question: how secure are we? Well, corporately, you're logging into a WebEx, no different than you would be as we are as Masons. The information is an invite only. You can really spoof or get any other information from us. Realistically, as you said, it's a lodge of education, so we're not sharing anything that's out of contrary to what we'd normally say to the regular entered apprentice. And then from there, really, we're working to just educating ourselves.
So at least in the past 2 years we've been talking, what has been the biggest aha moment for you? And what's been like the wow, I can't believe we were able to do this, or some unintended benefit that happened as a result of this platform?
Taking myself
Well,
off mute, I'm thinking.
Well, he got to come. They got to come on the TMR twice.
That's
I mean,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, no.
let me excuse me while I scratch my nose.
So as I scratch my nose and to do the order of the moose, I would actually say, Jason, the biggest, all seriousness aside, the biggest aha moment is when we had the Grand Master of Manitoba come to our virtual lodge and attend. We had a presentation put together by Blake, Wishful Brother Blake from Australia. We had our Tyler from Italy online, and we had a bunch of other members from across the United States and Canada. So it really showed the global nature of the lodge. We have a Right Worshipful Brother, past district deputy from Bruce County here in Ontario as our inner guard. So really, it's to answer your question, the evolution of the lodge is not just a purely Manitoba lodge. It's more of an inter-country lodge that allows for all of us to share and move across. So I would say that was the latest phase. And now I think it's how do we get better at automating and making sure that we get the word out to new brethren, that it's something they can all enjoy, and that we can have more people coming to and automate how we invite people and make sure that we tell people are there. So if you're not kind of in the know, it's difficult for you to know we're going to have this virtual lodge. And other than, like I said, the embassy notes that goes out to all the past grandmasters, how do we get to the regular people? And that's really why I wanted to come back to MRT, just to say, gentlemen, we're here. We'd love to have you come and visit. If we get 25 people and I have to pay an extra couple bucks to punk us over the number, then we'll be more than happy to do that.
So that leads us to a good segue for my last thing before we get to social media, unless Jason wants to chime in there with his pouty face.
So quick question, Nicholas. Apologize for lumping another question on to you. Why just outreach to Masons? Have you all ever thought about doing open Masonic education programs to non-Masons just to drum up interest in the fraternity?
It sounds like a cool idea, but when you become master of 2 lodges, you can tell me where you can find some extra time.
Master of one lodge with a baby, I think, is going to be my mantra for the next
Yeah.
13 months.
So
Yeah.
I would like to say that's really good. I think it's an idea and definitely something we could do. From a platform perspective, we could do it. It's just, again, how do you moderate it and who do you want to speak to? And then what's the audience you want to try to obtain and work towards? Today, it's focused on, the traveling Mason, a brother who can't necessarily get to lodge. It has, like I said, the international flavor. I think there's lots of things for us to do in the next year to two. I know that, I'm wondering what the evolution will be as we move forward. We talked earlier about, how you become a part of the lodge, but even in the ritual, for you to become a master of this lodge, you have to have already been a master. So one of the reasons that I became the master when I did is our IPM came to me and said, when are you becoming raised in your natural lodge? Because I need time out and I need to take a different turn as it relates to Castle Island Virtual Lodge. So there's a lot of other logistics that have to be worked through yet as we continue to evolve.
So this was a good way to wrap up and say, here's your platform. Here's your chance. If any one of our listeners wants to attend the next stated meeting of Castle Island Virtual Lodge number 190, how do they do it?
They send myself an email at burlingtonlodgewm@gmail.com.
Burlington Lodge WM, as in Worshipful Master.
Yes.
At gmail.com and say, I want in. Then what happens?
Then I will then send you an email. You will then copy your dues card and send me a 2016 dues card, either one way or another. And then we will then check to make sure you're on the jurisdiction of Grand Lodge, back to that book that, John, you had earlier. Yes. And then we then send you an invite.
Yeah, and for the brothers listening, that is the same book that your secretary or you, if you have access to it, would reference in order to see if you could visit Civil. Because when I was first invited, I thought, well, there's no way I could do it. I mean, it's not a recognized lodge in my jurisdiction. No, I was wrong. I went into the book. I'm like, oh my God, an internet lodge is recognized in my jurisdiction.
Right.
And of course, I didn't know anything about it, so it was a very good experience. So I encourage any brother who is curious to go ahead and take up the opportunity, because it's a very unique experience.
And your next meeting date will be?
It is November. Where's my calendar? 20. I knew you were going to ask me that question.
No pressure.
I can tell you what my next meeting for work is.
It's a live show. I mean, we don't have
November the 30th. Thanks, John.
November
Maybe
30th.
You want to Skype me and ask you a question. So yeah, November the 30th. Our meeting topic will be the Grand Lodge of Arizona, and as we said, we're going through our theme of learning about lodges in the United States. So we've had one in Australia, one presentation in Italy. Next one will be a U.S. based lodge. And then just to circle back to Juan's question and yours, if your Grand Lodge has association to the Grand Lodge of Manitoba, then we, as a constituted lodge of Civil Lodge number 190, are able to go through. So if you get one of, I guess, Chris Hadoup's book, and you look on the back page, it says associated lodges that most people can go visit. On the back there, you'll find the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. And then you're ready to rock and roll. Send us an email. I'll add you to the list. Give us a dues card, and away we'll go.
Great. So we have some great questions on social media, so I'll let Jason jump right in. We've got some doozies.
All right.
I hope you're ready.
First, yes, we are ready. So first question from Brother Gary Misner. You said you record your meetings. Are the recordings stored for members, and did your Grand Lodge have any concerns with that?
Yes, they are recorded for our members. We actually have archived them off of WebEx into a USB drive. Is our Grand Lodge concerned? No, we did go to the Grand Secretary because it's always nice. Remember when I said you have 5 past Grand Masters as sitting members? So my secretary is the past Grand Secretary. So yeah, it's not a concern, but yes, it's archived. And if someone wanted a copy, in theory, we could send you a copy.
Awesome. So coming from brother Frank Scrobot down in Georgia, he said, so wait, you all open on the EA. Does that mean EAs and fellow crafts could attend? And what would they need to do in order to be able to do that?
So the answer is yes. Any EA, Fellowcraft, or Master Mason can attend. All they have to have is their dues card.
Okay. So if you can figure out a way to get a dues card as an EA or a Fellowcraft, then you can attend.
Correct. So I don't know about you, but in our jurisdiction, as soon as you go in as an EA, we give you a dues card.
Unfortunately, not in Virginia.
Not in Virginia.
Yeah, but I've been listening to you guys. You have a lot of weird things in Virginia. Maybe you want to become a member of a lodge, say, in Manitoba through a virtual process.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Next question, sir.
My wife will get back to you on that.
Yes.
So brother Frank also said that virtual reality goggles would solve the problem of the tiled setting.
Yeah, you know, we've had that discussion. So one of the other questions that someone asked us is, do you wear your regalia? And I've sat and for the first couple of times I thought, well, I'm going to put my apron on. And then, you know, do you want to put your collar on? And you kind of like, yeah, I put my collar on. But for my apron, not so much. But it's really kind of interesting to say the least.
So here's another. Oh, go ahead, Juan.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand yet. Did you say you put your apron for your meeting, right?
Me personally, no. You can't see my apron. It's between my camera.
That means you have to be wearing pants first to have aprons on top of. So
you know, you gotta be careful how you ask that question, because
don't give away TMR trade secrets.
There has been a discussion that if you ask some of our brethren in far off countries, say down under, if they're wearing shorts, and the answer will come back as yes. So no, we don't ask our brethren to wear their apron because we can't see it. So you might as well just put it behind you if you like.
All right, well, I have to press this point. Then you wouldn't be properly clothed for a top meeting.
Yes, you are correct. I wouldn't be properly clothed.
All right, so we've officially changed the procedure.
And how is the junior deacon going to check all that?
You just got to stand up and twirl.
Yeah. Just stands up and goes through everybody's WebEx feed.
And it says, are you wearing your regalia? So we do wear our collars. We do wear our name badges. Anything you can see from the shoulders up. But I've said to our brethren in the past, I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to sit for an hour and a half wearing your regalia.
Yeah.
And if you're in Rome at 3 o'clock in the morning, your wife looks at you strangely. Well, even though it's not anything else.
And so why did you guys decide to go with something like WebEx versus something like Skype or Google Hangouts?
So when we tried other formats before, and it was before Google Hangouts actually came out and became mainline and mainstream. So we tried Skype and other business ones, and we found that we couldn't get the tiling like you've got now here working effectively. So we chose WebEx. It was an arduous process. We tried 5 different platforms. They all failed miserably. And I gave up saying, I do not want to continue experimenting every other 2 weeks with trying to teach everybody to come back in. So that's the process we're using now.
Yeah, the other issue with Google Hangouts is if memory serves, it's limited to 9.
I believe, yeah, that's the other question. So we can go up anywhere.
Barely enough to open.
Yeah, so we can do 25 at a general state, and then 100 is what we can burst to. I think you go by packs of 50. And it's not that much. The last time I bursted to go over 25, I think it was $26 Canadian. So not a big dollar amount.
So are there any, this is more of a Grand Lodge of Manitoba question, so I understand if it's kind of outside of your lane, Nicholas, but are there any Grand Lodges that civil or by extension the Grand Lodge of Manitoba doesn't necessarily recognize?
Yes.
Um,
So as I said, there's a couple lodges in Mexico that are not regular, that are clandestine. And again, we just go through the similar book that John had that shows that you know where we go to for information. So we are diligent, and we go through that process to make sure that if you do communicate with us, we look through that book and make sure that to the best of our ability that you are not a non-official lodge that we can't communicate with.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. A question on what's the normal attendance at civil?
So normal attendance is probably just under 17 to 20 on any given night. So we have 12 paid members, 3 regular visitors, which puts us to 15, and then any 5 or 7, which will then be normal kind of transient people. Excuse me. We've also found that if you attend more than 3 times, generally we can get you to pay a dues card. That's our trend.
So 3 times or more, and you affiliate.
3 or more, and I start thinking I should send you a note to get you to affiliate. Yeah.
Okay.
Because then you started showing interest. You're not just a visitor at that point. We say, hey, it's time for you to start helping us out. Obviously, you're interested. You like the format, so we're willing to extend the request to you.
My wife will get back to you on affiliation.
Yes, I'm not directing it towards you.
No, I know.
No, it's not Jason.
No, it's not Jason, but it could be somebody else there. Yeah.
Yes, it could. So, John, I think that wraps up just about all we've got. We're running short on time anyway.
Yeah, this has been great. We had a lot of Masonic news, and I want to make sure we gave the conversation the due diligence it deserves. So thank you, Nicholas. Let's go to Robert for his final thoughts and shameless plugs.
Sure. Just again, it was great to hear a really nice update to what's going on with the virtual lodge world. I think a lot of our members around the world look for something like this. Podcasts tended to somewhat fill the gap for guys who couldn't go to lodge, and this is another great option for just about anybody out there who can go ahead and abide by the rules and send Brother Nicholas the proper information. I had a friend and brother of mine just in our district, actually, Brother Michael Blasius, who I told about this, and he went ahead and attended and said it was amazing. So that's really cool, and I just think it's just a really neat trend, and I think I would be excited to see more of these lodges start up. But
Here.
Yeah. So other than that, if you like Masonic podcasts, Sunday night, 9:30, Whence Came You comes out, and thanks for watching this show.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Juan Sepulveda.
Well, I know that there is a brother listening to this right now who thought, oh, that sounds cool. I should check it out. Don't shoot it. Actually do it. Rewind this if you need to. Make sure you send Brother Nicholas an email. This is an experience that you want to have in your Masonic journey, because trust me, I was one of the most vocal ones at the beginning and kind of skeptical. I was like, I don't get this. Wait a second. I'm not comfortable with it. Let's talk a little bit more, right? And I came around. I started asking questions. I was just like you. I was concerned about, could this be properly tiled? Is this, how do I know these are brothers? And all these questions were answered satisfactorily. And I was able to, as part of my journey, sit in lodge with brothers from a great variety of time zones. And it was a very good experience. So if you found this interesting, even if you were a little skeptical, ask the questions if you need to, but make sure that you visit. It's an experience that you're going to enjoy. And I really hope that brothers take you up on that offer, Brother Nicholas, because it is an eye-opening experience and a very enjoyable one. Now, for the brothers who enjoy Masonic Podcast, I invite you to go to thewindingstairs.com. I finally will be publishing the episodes. Now, it's not going to be this week. Next week, for sure, it's going to be available. I was having some problems with Stitcher Radio. So for brothers that listen using their the Stitcher Radio, you're missing episodes. So you need a different podcatcher. I'm working with them to try to get the latest episodes, but they're not there. So thank you again for your support, thewindingstairs.com.
Thank you, Juan. Jason.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching tonight. Brother Nicholas, thanks so much for coming on and spreading more light about new ways to enjoy a very old fraternity. And I love the idea of virtual lodges. I think they are a breath of fresh air to the fraternity, and I think they're a great way to ensure that those who wouldn't be able to otherwise attend lodge can still get their Masonic fellowship in. And I think it's awesome. You know, we have a running joke in some of our circles where we say, "Oh, we get more out of Masonry on the internet, generally speaking, than we do in lodge." And being able to marry up the two, I think, is a win-win for everybody. So that's really exciting to me to see that taking off and see that gaining speed. So thank you very much. So brethren, check out the TMR Facebook page. We've got an event officer installation. Go ahead and attach yourself to that event. Let me know if you're going. And I'll have the live stream up, the link for it up at some point soon. And John's going to help me out with that. So hope to see you there, at least virtually. It'd be great to fellowship with you and have some good Masonic education in the meantime. So that's all I got, John. Back to you.
I'm only going to your installation if it's your installation.
You will know if it is my installation 2 days before the installation is supposed to take place.
You'll be able to hear the cheer from Virginia.
Oh my gosh, that is really quick. Okay.
Thursday night to Saturday morning.
Wow.
Good stuff. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so to close things up, it's really been hard to keep myself contained. I know I've interrupted some of the other hosts already tonight. This is exactly where Freemasonry is going. So I really want to kind of let the genie out of the bottle and say that where I've been conservative in the rest of this episode, this is the future of Freemasonry. I think Jason alluded to something that I posted on my other page. Well, where do you go for more light? It's go to the big G, and that's the big Google to go learn more about Freemasonry. But now you have another alternative in a tiled setting. And one thing that was kind of mentioned but really wasn't elaborated on is you could technically download the Cisco WebEx app for your phone and attend lodge on your phone. So if that doesn't appeal to the millennial generation at all, that you can literally be at lodge anywhere you are. Anywhere there's a Wi-Fi connection or a cellular connection, that's just amazing. and again, have fellowship with brethren from around the world. And another thing that I really truly respect you guys for doing at Civil is experimenting, right? Trying different things. Like you said, you tried 4 or 5 different platforms before you kind of came to that. And you've heard me talk about that on the show, that what the Grand Lodges need to allow is for lodge experimentation, whether it be affiliate lodges, whether it be online virtual lodges, whether it be new education programs. Just experiment the crap out of it, but collect data. And so what you guys are doing is only as good as participation. And I think you highlighted that as well. So kudos for those of you guys who have been sticking with it, at least since 2012, and for the brethren who have been attending from all over the world. But I do plan on attending at your next dated on November 30th. So expect to see me there. So if you're a fan of TMR and you are at least an entered apprentice with a dues card, go contact Nicholas Laine. You can sit and lodge with me too. So that would be fun. So you can say we sat and lodged together, and maybe I'll convince the rest of these guys to try and join as well. But Nicholas, thank you very much for your diligence to the craft, for your commitment to being worshipful master of 2 lodges at the same time, and for again everything you do.
Thank you, John. It's great. And for those of people that are saying, how do we change to go to the Grand Lodges? If your Grand Lodge is interested and they want to know how to do this, our past Grand Secretary, or our Secretary of our Lodge, has put together an information booklet. So I know that I'm working with Brother Jeff Popri out of the Grand Lodge of Colorado to try to also figure out how to do this. So as you work towards talking to some of your Grand Officers, we have a little bit of a cookbook in how we went through the process to make this work. And I'm sure more lodges and different jurisdictions could do that. So please give us a call, and we'll put you in contact with those that know how to make this work, and maybe get more of these virtual lodges out there in North America.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, John.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all I got. Guys, thank you very much for listening, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.